side of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature, and I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, in the whole night, this isn't a man.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing, is all I...
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
Oh, you muted, Steve. Yeah, you're still muted.
There it is. We're just having so many technical difficulties with tonight's show.
It's supposed to come off of that automatically, but that's okay.
Well, my screen froze again in the middle of the introduction, so I had to refresh. So I know it's not. I know it's not an issue with my computer now. It's an issue with StreamYard itself, and of course they're not responding to my message, like, "Hey, what's going on?" So cannot show one of the videos I wanted to show tonight. My game plan is completely off. So a little bit frustrating for the last. Everything was going fine, and then all of a sudden, hey, let's look at this video. And usually we have no problem reviewing video when we're in pre-show, and it was, it was like the show, the video was playing at like a quarter speed, and the audio was going at the regular speed. So the audio was getting ahead of the video, and it was just horrible.
Yeah, we'll just have to ask everybody to bear with us tonight. We're having a few technical difficulties, but we sure are glad to see everybody here.
Yeah, the voices, we've had no problem with audio. It's all this, it's this locking up issue and video issue. Yeah. And like all of a sudden, when we was down at the countdown, when we went live, the countdown stopped for me. And then I had to refresh my screen, which I have. They're having some issues. Must be having some issues at StreamYard tonight. But, it's very frustrating. And, Chris, we had talked earlier about that video maybe being too big of a file. Well, if you recall, the smallest video file I have, which was like a minute-long video, that was doing the same thing.
Ah, okay. So that's not the problem. Yeah, there's an issue somewhere.
Yeah.
Before we get started tonight, I want to do a quick shout out to my brother-in-law, Mark, who recently had a heart attack and heart bypass surgery this past week during, probably the worst time in history for anybody to have this happen to them. So I want to wish him a speedy recovery and hang in there. You're going to be sore for a while, but you will eventually get back to where you can move around a little bit.
Yep. Well, anyway, and I want to throw out, and Godspeed to him, and hopefully he'll mend quickly, and everything will be fine with him, and our prayers are with him, Chris. So, on another note, I want to do a quick shout out to my little buddy Connor, who I met at the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival last weekend. And boy, was that not fun last weekend. Joe, in case people don't, we got Joe Snyder down there from Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Research Organization, and Joe was there. For those who haven't seen the video, we're going to play it real quick. I've actually managed to upload that, so that should play okay. So let's just do the quick Whitehall Sasquatch Festival, and we can talk. And guess who the first person in that video you'll see is that character way down there. So here it is. He's going to end up on the podcast. See, look at that. Yeah, podcast. He's going to be on my podcast too. Here we are. There's Kenny. And Emily and crew. Hi guys. And
Imposter. I'm not Steve Kulls. That clay I'm on in real life.
You're too tall to play me.
Too good looking.
Let's not push it. Oh, there's Alex. No. Give a big hand up for numbers. Good job. All right, big hand. All right. Raise the hand. Oh my God.
It's like this.
I don't hear you guys. What are you? And there you have it.
Well, that was a wheelbarrow full of fun right there.
That was absolutely a fun day. And man, I got to tell you that the first part of that video was the best.
Because it had you in it.
Absolutely. Well, I do have to say though, man, that Alex Petchikoff, man, that guy wears a beard better than any man I've ever seen.
Yeah, his beard game is strong.
I'm telling you, his beard game is strong. It definitely is. But yeah, that was a blast that day, man. That was a blast that day.
It certainly was.
Yeah, Alex is great.
The calling contest was awesome.
It's
always fun, and so looking forward to doing that again next year. It's already in the works, so that's going to be a cool thing.
Yeah. Oh, we got to do our shout out to the chat listeners, Steve.
Yeah, we sure do. So now that we got everybody in here. Okay, so we got Lowrider, OT, we got B. B, what's going on?
B, OT, yeah. They were here early. I was in the chat earlier.
Y'all.
I had to leave though in order to come over here, but I always enjoy chatting with those guys.
Yeah. And then we got Ammon Chris, who's in the chat room. Bob Lemley.
Bob.
Of course, we got Mike Ann, Tactical Bigfoot Research. Lance Windsor. Lance, hello. Welcome to the show. And Raptor Blue, another new name. Welcome.
Raptor, welcome.
And Bigfoot Society, hello. Welcome.
Society, good to see you.
And who else? Sherry's in the house.
Hi, Sherry.
Central Florida Bigfoot.
Yep.
And Pat Turner's in the house too. Squatch Talk Radio.
Pat.
So Pat's here.
Welcome, Pat.
And I think Brian and Chewy Go Hiking. They're back.
Brian and
Chewy,
Chewy, welcome back.
The tall ones is here. Hello, welcome.
Hey, Brian.
Jay Fritz.
Jay.
Like, hey, old timers. How's it going, Jay? We got Michael Haywood. Michael, welcome.
Welcome. Good to see you.
So yeah, we had quite the evening afterwards too.
Yeah. Hey, can I say one thing about the Bigfoot calling contest, though, man? That thing was it was really cool. I think my favorite parts of that whole contest was the girl who did the stomp dance along with her Bigfoot calls.
Yep.
And the guy that he sounded like a Chihuahua on crack, but and then at the last, I was talking to Steve about this the other night. There was this one old guy on there, man. Classic. This is the kind of guy you would find in those scary movies about the old dude living out in the woods in a cabin that nobody knows of, and he hasn't been social in years. You know, he's kind of a thin guy, balding, kind of gaunt face, scary, and did one of the scariest things I've ever heard come out of a human's mouth. But I said, you know, if I saw that old man in the woods, he scared the crap out of me.
He scared the crap out of me when he was there. He was wearing no shoes. Can I go? I'm like, whoa. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Wow.
So we got an extra one, guys, and away he went. I'm just trying to find that picture. I can't seem to find it right now. There's just so many pictures in that file. But yeah, so later on that evening, Joe came out with us, and it was kind of funny the way you put that yesterday. Joe was like, yeah, all I did was, hey, can I come up? Hey, want to come along?
Was one of the easiest things that I've ever done in my life. Hey, Steve, when are we going squatching? You want to go tonight? Yeah, you're in.
Just like that. Yep.
And I'm like, holy crap, that was easy.
And as you can see, that was the night shot using a night shot. Not a camera, excuse me.
That's a nice picture, man.
I have a little bit of a sinus thing going on, so it's been throwing my coughing off a little bit for the last week. Usually I have it under control, and tonight not so much. Doesn't also help. I'm getting aggravated by a bunch of stuff. But we got Jimbo in the crowd. Hello, Jimbo.
Jimbo, good to see you. Yeah, I think it's in the air, Steve, and when it starts to get the fall, closer to the fall, that's when all the the mold and crap, molds and stuff are in the air, and
The change of weather.
yeah, it kills me, dude. I've been plagued with the sniffles for about the last 2 weeks, and every few minutes, the old nose is trying to run off the face.
Yeah.
But we can't stay in the summertime forever, unfortunately.
Yep. So anyway, it was a real great night that night as well. Beautiful squatching weather. I mean, it was probably like maybe about 55 degrees, 52 degrees. A little chilly, but perfectly, not too cold. Yeah. Sherry had a sinus infection this week, so
oh no.
Which very well could be. But
how about that, Sherry? Last week, great job.
And then the day after, she was sick.
Oh man.
That's what happens when of course you're getting out in that cold, and it dropped down to like 46 degrees when we did the show last week.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a lot of fun last week. And I'm sorry that none of you guys could be here. I know Mike is in the chat, and Mike was there. We know Mike was there.
Yeah, I saw Mike. He can't get away with that.
He was stomping off to get get the other inflatable that we have out. Any other questions there from the audience? So it's a good thing it's beach ball.
Sorry, we just had to show that one more time.
Mike is tough.
When I was watching that live, I almost fell out of my chair.
That looked like it hurt.
You never know what I'm going to pull off. I know what. You never know.
Funny, man.
Mike, you're a tough man. I mean, I'm feeble and old and frail. If that had been me, I'd probably still been in intensive care right now. You're a tough dude.
It was only a beach ball.
Much respect. Yeah, well, I'm frail, okay?
Mike Haywood said, Mike goes, dang, tough love.
You guys are out in the woods playing around with a beach ball, huh?
But one of the things for me that makes it even funnier too, that just adds to the funniness of it, is that he took that all in stride.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he knows me.
Okay.
he knows my games. He knows my crazy games.
But excellent work last week, Mike. I mean, hats off, dude. I mean, I'm scared for my job now. I mean, dude, it was a co-host of the century right there. I enjoyed it.
Hoti says, we make a video where a stealth fighter is taking off, then it's flying, and it opens the doors, then have a beach ball and Mike.
Stealth bomber drops beach ball.
Yeah.
I'm leaving him in the woods next time.
I don't blame him. I don't blame you, Mike. I don't blame you a bit. Just tie it to a tree and then leave a couple of 5-gallon buckets of rocks nearby.
That's it. Yeah.
That way
and here goes Sherry going, that's okay. You sent us ladies out with pork chops around our necks.
Oh.
Yeah, thinking outside the box, man.
Oh yeah.
That's thinking outside the grill.
Yeah.
Here's your...
Oh.
And Tax says, it's all yours. I'll just fill in.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
And of course, we have Mick is in the house. And
Mick,
we got
okay.
Charlie Wonton's there in the house as well.
Good to see you, Charlie. Good to see you,
Everybody's
Mick.
filing in.
There he is.
But yeah, so this is a night scene of the night before, and you can see, just a beautiful shot. And there's one of our researchers actually just kind of positioned himself out. He's got his FLIR out, and we're just keeping an eye on the falls, which is really hard to see, but the falls line runs right about there. And this is all kind of like marshy, and it's all goes down into this big crevasse and down the Pulteney River. So the moon comes up, and it was kind of funny because as the moon was coming up, I don't know if it was you, Joe, who said, "What is that light over there?" I go, "Well, that's either the moon or a volcano."
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's pretty bright. The moon was very bright that night.
So they
Not
have
so much the next night when we went to the mountain. And the mountain was awesome because we had that I went down there and something was walking around and I wasn't sure. Like I said, my original worry was that it was a bear.
Right.
And sometimes, strength in numbers, or a moose. But whatever it was, didn't show itself. And I could not see it on thermal. Of course, that area is very bermy. So it's really hard to, get a straight line shot into that wood line. The other thing is Mike showed up and then we started moving in, and hopefully Mike will get that audio over to me at some point if he's got it. We started moving down and we heard this tremendous single tree knock. Now it's not cold enough for those trees to be expanding and contracting to create those cracks that can mimic a tree knock. So that was in of itself quite unusual. And it was like just a good, a really loud, pop. And, again, this is going towards the direction of the game trail where that track had come off of we had found last month. So then we get down to past that track where the trackway was. We went past it, maybe about 20, 30, 35 feet. And we kind of stood to talk and look at the swamp a little bit. And then something came trucking in. And of course, we noticed that I played it back. I wanted to hear that rock. It was so damn close. And then it was the one time the field mobile, the mobile unit had kind of locked up a bit. The signal was kind of scrambled. So we missed that whole thing. And it kind of, wow, that was, and there's the rock. So hopefully Tack will get that for us. And he's like, whoop. I was there. So it's definitely not a moose. I will never see a moose.
I'm with you on that one.
Well, isn't there some kind of correlation? People report that their electronics start messing up, around about the time they have a Bigfoot sighting.
I don't know.
It could just be Murphy's Law, too,
It probably was just Murphy's Law.
I mean, the same thing happened to Scott and myself in Kentucky. When we got a really wicked vocalization, is like, it could have been owls, but we covered that in the video before. We don't know. But, I looked at Scott and said, "Did you get that?" And he looked, "No." Man, he said, "The recorder's off." Yeah. And he had it running with fresh batteries, and the batteries were dead. Yeah. So, weird.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and of course, that was our setup for the night there at the base camp.
Yeah, that was sweet.
And it worked well. I used a Progeny battery pack, which is that unit right there. And in it we were running the Chromebook, which was running the webcam. We were running the mini monitor. We were running the night vision and the thermal scope as well. Right. And it hit. Yeah, that thing was a boss out there. We had run that stuff for about a good 3.5, 4 hours. And I brought the battery pack home and plugged it in to recharge it. And it was only at 80%.
Yeah.
So, and it was running multiple items. And it worked like a boss. So very, very pleased with that. We had signal up there. So I used the Chromebook and Mike's internet puck. And we had, got
that
in.
Handy. Yeah, you got like a big, that's how lithium ion battery storage, right? What that is.
I have no idea what's
so
inside.
It's got a big battery in it.
Yep.
There's no need to have a generator or anything. Run your laptop and
it's quiet and and the beautiful thing is there's no noise emanating from it, and it doesn't really build up a lot of heat.
Yeah.
It also has a light on the front of it. So this is the unit here, right here. And
oh yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely has its own built-in light, and
I gotta get one of those.
it's not quite as it's heavy, but it's not quite as heavy as a car battery is.
I like that better than a generator.
Yeah. No noise.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I have. I took that to Kentucky with me, and that recharged my phone every night, and recharged my laptop, and I took it home, and it was like at 98%. So it definitely it's got a lot of juice, a lot more surprising, and you sometimes you get items, and you're kind of wonder, if it's good as what it says.
Right.
It actually is better than what it said. It actually is done a lot better than what I expected out of it. Given the description of the item. So I was like, wow.
Yeah.
There is a link in the video last week for that particular item. I think it runs about $235. It's not that expensive, and it's a lot cheaper than a generator, and it's a lot quieter than a generator. And it's a great, it's a great thing to have put in your tent to keep, things charged up and communication or whatever you need. If you need to recharge, batteries, you need to recharge your phone, you need to recharge your radios or your tech. That was another thing too. When I was down in Kentucky, that was also recharging my FLIR every night, because I'd get in my tent and I'd plug my FLIR in, I'd plug my phone in, and off I go. So and the next morning it's all good to go. I can't say enough about that particular piece of technology.
Yeah, you can. You can always like charge up out of your car, but then again, if you don't start your car up for like a day,
yeah. Well,
next time you might be asking for a jump start.
Yeah. And the other cool thing is, a lot of people. The other thing is, if you have a phone that charges wirelessly, it has a wireless charger on the top of it as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow. Oh, that's cool.
So you could turn that on. You just put your phone on top of there, and you can charge your phone without actually having to use one of the plugs that are, one of the USB-C plugs. A very, very fun time. I don't know, Joe, what's your impressions? I mean, what did you think of the crew? Did you have fun out there with the crew?
Oh yeah, man. Those people were great, man. I mean, and a lot of them, are people that that I've been wanting to meet and talk to. I was actually surprised. I didn't know I was going to end up meeting Alex at all, or even a good many of the people were there. But it was a blast being out there, man. And maybe we didn't find Bigfoot that night, but there was not even close. But I mean, you gotta admit there were some kind of just weird shit that was even if it was inconclusive, it's still fun. It's something that makes you go, huh, okay.
Yep.
Like the rock clack me and you heard. I mean,
right
at the same time. Now, what caused that, I don't know, but it was fun. Yep. And the fact that somebody else heard it, at the same time I did, was cool, just in the fact that, okay, well, at least I'm not hearing things.
Yep.
At least I'm not got, my brain's not primed here, and I'm just thinking I'm hearing shit, so that was cool, and it was a good night, man. Really, it was. Everybody was,
Bigfoot's in the house.
They're just, they were just really all around good people, man. Is what I gotta say.
Laughing Picker in the house. Hello, welcome back, Laughing Picker.
Well, good to see you.
It was really cool to have Alex Petikoff come with us that night. Alex did go with us on Saturday night, and so that was really cool. You can't always make these guys, or I should say the creatures, make them necessarily perform.
Right.
Now, whether that rock clack was because, I was thinking about that too. What could have caused that rock clack? Well, you got to understand it's a very big canyon there, and it could have been a rock that fell and struck a rock on the bottom of the on the base of the Pulteney River.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could have caused that. So, very differently than what we had the next night when we heard the rock first come through the trees,
right,
and then hit a rock that was on the ground because that area was very rocky, and and was like, what the hell, But even so, I would have liked a little more activity than when we had the second night as well. But that's what we need to do. That's what we do. Get out there, have a little fun, and enjoy. The owl noises were crazy that night. We heard owls, coyotes, just that's what it is about. Getting out there, and it's so much fun. I love getting the owl noises on recorders and the coyotes and all that stuff. And we actually had coyotes very close to us the night we were in Whitehall.
That's all you can do, man.
Oh yeah. I remember that guy. Yeah, that's right.
Because we had met a family coming out, believe it or not, a family that was fishing at night, coming out on the other side of where we were. We were heading into the parking lot of the Carver's Fall Dam, and they were there. And obviously they see the war wagon there with the stickers on it, and the plates, and so he started saying, talking to us, and he had relayed an encounter that he had and some of his uncle had living in Whitehall. So that was kind of really cool. He kind of gave us some information where he thinks they may hide out or where there's some weird stuff going on. But when you get into certain communities like that, it's not so much a 4-letter word. It's like, we've had stuff over there. My uncle saw one years ago, and so it's like that. But let's get in. Yeah, I'm sorry. Chris.
Even if you're in a good area where there's been sightings and everything, there's no guarantee that the day you go that you're going to have a sighting. And I'm so frustrated. The last good sighting I had was 2010, which I had multiple sightings in. But from every year since then, on March the 6th, which is when I got some really good sighting, I go to that same area every year on March the 6th, and just for like an anniversary thing, and plus I know they were in the area at that time,
right? And
not since haven't had a sighting. So it's kind of frustrating, dude. It's 11 years. But, I still count myself lucky because there's a lot of people and a lot of researchers out there that have just been going on faith, believing that something is going on out there, without ever having seen it themselves. And so I count myself lucky.
Yeah. I definitely see there may be an issue with the stream tonight because it's looking kind of grainy there and on the YouTube channel, because I actually have that the YouTube channel playing behind me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it looks kind of grainy today. So I don't know what necessarily is happening with StreamYard, but their picture quality is pretty lousy tonight. Well, anyway, we were going to also cover an email or a comment sent to me by none other than Linda Newton Perry this week. And so what I'll do is tomorrow I'll post up, or maybe even later tonight, I'm going to post up the video on the channel, kind of highlighting the letter she sent me, my response, and her response to that. Because guess what? We did give Linda Newton Perry an invite to come on the show to explain, what she has, what she claims to have. And of course, every single time she says, no, I'm declining the invitation. Of course, because you can't answer the tough questions, but I digress. So anyway, let's talk about Joe.
Yeah, let's do. Joe loves to talk about Joe.
So Joe, let me ask this question to you. What started you in the Bigfoot world?
Finding a footprint. Really, that's the basics of it. When I was 14 years old, I was I was out doing some squirrel hunting, which I used to do quite often when I was a kid. And right here in this Western New York, not quite where I'm living now, but a little north of me where I grew up, and walking along this creek called Keshequa Creek, and heading for, just going up the creek. And up ahead of me, and I should say, along the way, I'm noticing, deer track, here. Oh, by the water's edge over here, there's some raccoon tracks over here in the mud, things of that nature. And up ahead of me, I see this track that from the distance I'm at first, the first thing that popped into my head was a bear track. And we have bears around there. There's plenty of bears. But around that particular area, you're not really used to seeing them all that often. So I'm thinking bear track. So I walk up to it, and I realize there's more to the track than what I was seeing. I was only seeing the front half of the track from the distance I was.
Right.
When I got up on it, I noticed that it was a lot bigger than I thought it was. And part of the track from about mid-foot back was in harder, rockier ground, so it didn't make as big of an impression. The front half of the foot was actually a bit deeper because it was in softer, sandier soil. And it was 5 toes. To me, when I was first looking at it, I went, "Oh, that's not a bear print," and that looks like a human footprint, And I'm like, "Holy crap!" The size of it, and the thing had to have been at least 14 inches. Of course, I wasn't even into anything then, so I'm not measuring it, but just by memory and from experience afterwards, I'd say it was at least 14 inches, maybe 16. But I know that I thought to myself, wow, that is one big person to leave a footprint like that. And as I looked, I could see more impressions from there up towards the wood line, and they were in the grass, and they were spaced pretty far apart, and I thought, Jesus Christ, this guy's huge. Look at the freaking range, his stride. Look how long it is, right? So I'm thinking big, crazy hermit, right, lives out here. And so I started following him a little bit, seeing how far into the woods I could follow him. Why I would want to, at 14 years old, follow the footprints of what I thought was a big, crazy hermit, there's no telling now. But I got into the woods, and I lost the tracks pretty quickly after they entered the wood line. And so I got distracted after that by a squirrel barking off in the distance, and that's what I was out there doing originally, was squirrel hunting. So pretty much forgot about that, the track thing, and started trying to hone in on where that squirrel was barking from. Right. And as I got closer to where he was, I came across this huge pine tree. And at the base of this pine tree was a structure. And it was made out of pine branches, and, there was other stuff that was piled in on it, like ferns and things of that nature. And my first thought was that somebody had built a fort out there, or something like that. Or perhaps some other animal made a nest, right? Because we know bears will do stuff like that at times. And I thought, well, gee, man, that's pretty big, though. So I started walking a little closer to it. And this is the only time in my life that I've ever actually smelled something bad. And as I got closer to this thing, I could smell a smell coming from it, which the only way I could describe it is the smell of urine and dirty socks, and like feces, but it was really, really strong. Now that only reinforced my idea that there's this big, crazy hermit living out there, and he's living in that thing.
Right.
So then the hair on the back of my neck rose, and I thought, what if he's out here right now?
Yeah.
And I started, I started looking around, and I'm like, okay, forget the squirrel. I think I'm going to go home now. And so I went home, and to make a long story even longer, I was watching. I think that's when I first caught the episode of In Search of, where they did the Bigfoot and Yeti and, the PG film and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when a little light bulb went off in my head, and I went, holy crap, what if that was a Bigfoot print? A Bigfoot footprint,
Right.
instead of a big old crazy hermit.
Right.
And what if that thing was a Bigfoot shelter? Now, that part, I'm not sure. I still think it could have been just some smelly freaking bushcrafter that made that one. But the footprint was undeniable to me after that point. And that's what started me, man. And I've been on the search ever since, man. Ever since.
Well, that's really good. And obviously, as Tack said, that was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
So you've been at this since what, 78?
78, yep.
Wow. That predates me being involved in this by 20 years.
Yeah. Well, you'd think I'd know a whole lot too, man, but I don't.
Hey, I was squirrel hunting back then. Squirrel.
Yeah.
Love them fried squirrels. Some people like to put them in like a stew, but I'd rather have one fried.
Yeah, that's how we used to do, is fry them up. Yep.
Yuck.
Hey, man, when you're a country folk like that, man, a lot of our meat came from them woods, man.
Oh,
So
yeah, man. Yeah.
you ate what you could shoot.
Yeah, I understand.
Squirrel and rabbit, I love the hind legs on the rabbit. Delicious. And just like it's as good as any chicken white breast meat that you'd ever had in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And when my wife first came here, of course, she's from Thailand. She said,
See, that's what I would prefer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She said, is it true you eat rabbits here? I said, yeah. She said, no. Rabbits is a pets. We don't eat the rabbits in Thailand. I said, well, they eat them in China, don't they?
Do they eat dogs in Thailand?
They eat cats. No, I don't know. I don't think they eat cats or dogs, but I know they do eat cats in China. But she just...
Where do you think catsup comes from?
Yeah. But she was horrified, about the prospect of me having eaten rabbit.
Yeah.
And the way she explained it to me, it was she wouldn't have thought any less of me if I'd eat dogs and cats. It's actually pretty much the same. Rabbit, cat, dog, all the same to them. But I don't know. I may have ate a cat. I don't know. I've eaten some Chinese restaurants before that was really good.
Heard
if it was a cat, I'd eat one. I don't.
Hey, I've eaten a barn pigeon before, man. Yeah.
I mean, the weirdest thing I've eaten is alligator.
Alligator's pretty good, man. I ate some gator nuggets.
Yeah, they're all right.
Wasn't bad.
That's it for me.
I don't know if it's true or not, but when I was a kid, there was a story about this old man from a kind of country area of our area here. It's called Northtown, and it's like back up in the hills, and that's it. Then the rumor was that he had shot a bald eagle. I'm talking about the American bald eagle. He'd seen it flying over and shot it. Pow! And took that dude home and cooked it and ate it.
Oh, wow.
And the reason we know about it is because he always told everybody, he said, yeah, cooked me one of them eagles. Said, "What's the toughest thing you ever had in your life? I had to boil it, and it still was tough. He's so tough you couldn't eat it."
That's him.
I wonder how many squirrels this guy has eaten.
Probably a lot more than me.
Yeah, I'm sure he was raised on them.
That was the dude we were talking about earlier.
Hey, that's the guy. That guy is eating possum. And I guarantee it.
Yeah. Shot that eagle and had to boil it.
You can tell, man. I can tell that guy has eaten everything that walks, crawls, swims, or flies, man.
Oh, gosh.
I
I shouldn't say bad things about that from Kentucky, but sometimes my honesty crosses a barrier of.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I'll have to do the and that's all I got to say about that.
Full disclaimer: I
Before
have never
stump.
shot or eaten a bald eagle here, so. But there are people that has.
They're not even bald.
No.
They have more feathers on their head than I have hair on my head.
Yeah.
So how can they be? I don't know. Anyway,
Ready? I've seen them before over at Mammoth Cave. Yeah, they're pretty.
So Joe, let's get back to
Yeah.
get back on point here. So
Okay.
what has been your most best experience in all your years of research? I mean, obviously you've heard other stories. But first, what's your own personal experience aside from your sighting during your research period that you have encountered?
Wow. Let's see.
All right, let's go for an easier one. Your favorite color?
Yeah, red. No. I don't know. The first encounter. Well, I can only say I think it's an encounter because I didn't see them, but I damn sure heard them. And they threw shit at us like pine cones. But I think other than that, really, I'll tell you what one of my most amazing or most fun was. The first time I had one walk up on me in the dark at my campsite and watch me play harmonica really badly for about 5 minutes. Yeah.
That would drive all the Homo sapiens off.
I mean, yeah. But I think that was probably the most fun or memorable, really. I mean, other than the actual face to face, and it might have been him that I met face to face later on. Maybe that's why he didn't kill me. I don't know. But yeah, just sitting there by my campfire, playing the harmonica, trying to get better at it, and I'm the only one out there. So, just sitting there playing it. And after a while, I heard some noises in the forest, which is not uncommon at nighttime. There's lots of animals out there. Some branches, or not, I should say twigs, because something stepping on twigs, moving through the forest, right? A couple of cracks, crunch, and what sounded like something walking and getting closer. And so I would look up and didn't see anything. And I'd go back to playing my harmonica. And finally I heard just some definite, it was about 6, I would say, just, crunch, and then stop. And nothing after that. So I'm like, okay, there's something out there beyond my firelight in the trees, and I can't see it. Okay, what could it be? Well, it could be not a deer, because that didn't sound like a deer walking. Not a bear, because it didn't sound like a bear walking. It sounded like a person. So, okay, is there a person standing out there, which is a creepy thought to me. More creepier than if it's a Bigfoot. I don't know why, but that would be creepier to me. So I'm playing harmonica, and I instead of raising my head, I kind of look up and I look around, see if I can see anything, and I catch this glow, and I'm like, what is that? Okay, playing harmonica. I'm like, is that eye shine? Okay, so I'm looking, and I look up again just to make sure that I'm seeing what I'm seeing. No, it's still there.
Yeah.
And then it blinks. And I went, oh, okay. Playing the harmonica. And is that an owl? I don't know. But I don't think owls make noises crunching through the forest.
Right.
So look up. No, it's still there. And then I look up one more time, and they disappear. And then I realized, well, they didn't disappear, because after they disappeared, I hear crunch, 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 something walking away. Well, they didn't disappear. It just turned its around and turned its back on me and walked away from me. And I went, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And went back to playing the harmonica badly because I didn't know what else to do. Like, I'm not going to jump up and chase it.
No.
Even though I really, really wanted to make sure what it was. The next day, I can tell you there was no branch at the level the eye shine was for it to be any kind of a bird perched on a branch.
Right.
So whatever that eye shine was attached to whatever made those steps towards me. And yeah, it was a Sasquatch. There's no doubt in my mind that it was. And so that was fun. That was fun. One of the only times, and I'll tell you, that's the honest to God truth, man, that in all this time, that's the only time I've seen eye shine. It's the only time.
So
what color did you get out of it? Was it like a...
That's the funny thing is I kept thinking, what color was that the actual color, or was it because of the firelight? But it was an amberish kind of a color.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people describe, different colors depending on what kind of light was shining on the eyes, And I've not seen anything other than like a red, orange here.
Yeah.
But I've heard people describe like even a blue, green.
The only thing I could equate it to was kind of like almost the color of a traffic light, almost.
Yeah.
And we do have a question in chat from Tack. What makes Joe think that the Finger Lakes region is as good a place to research, and how does it compare to the Adirondacks?
What makes me think it's a good place? Well, because there's a lot of reports that have come out of this area. Reports that have been reported to other agencies, and plus the reports that I get from people just talking to them, who will do things like Steve just said. You'll be talking and it'll be like, well, I actually did think I saw something when we were camping over XYZ. So yeah, and another reason why I think so is because, well, there's plenty of what Sasquatch needs.
Right.
Food, cover, and water in this area. How does it compare to the Adirondacks? I can't make a true comparison because I've only been in the Adirondacks a few times. But I think just given the terrain and etc., whatever the population size is in New York, and again, this is speculation on my part, folks. Don't take it as I'm saying this is fact. I think that possibly 60% of what that population may be in this state probably is in the Adirondacks, and then the rest of it is spread out throughout the state. I don't have anything that I can say that that's a concrete thing, but it's just a feeling I get.
Yeah.
What about Jay asks, what about the Cuba area, Joe? And you know what? I love Cuba because of that place called Cuba Cheese.
Oh man, my wife loves that place, man. Yeah. I'm actually currently trying to upload a video. I gotta clear some space. We actually went out to Cuba yesterday. Yesterday. And wanted to go. I was originally going to go to my regular research spot where I've had my encounter and all that stuff. But my wife was like, well, I want to go to the cheese shop in Cuba again. And I said, well, okay, fine. I'll readjust my plans. If you want to go, then we'll go to Cuba, because there is a place there that, and it's no secret, I don't think, especially not around here.
Mhm.
It's a place called the Hanging Bog. And apparently it's not very secret, because the logger that told me, I was talking to a logger one day, and I said, and that was when I was in my usual research area. They were doing a little bit of logging in there. And I asked him, I said, well, in all the years, have you ever run across anything out here that, was strange or weird, or, anything to do? He's like, what do you mean? Like Sasquatch? I said, well, yeah, as a matter of fact, Sasquatch. He said, no. I said, no, but if you're looking for them, you ought to go over to the Hanging Bog, man. Them people over there are saying they're hanging out there all the time. And I didn't know where it was exactly at the time, so I had to look it up. And I was like, oh, Cuba. Okay, near the Hanging Bog. So, yeah, so we went there the other day and had a good time in the woods. I didn't find any, anything significant that day. But I just wanted to check it out. You never know what time and when something might happen. Now, the first time we went out there, though, my wife and I went out there, the first time we ever did, we actually found a track on a trail that was actually crossing this little path. I say trail, but it's more like a game trail that everybody else has walked on as they make their way around the bog there. And it was going across the trail, like going towards the water. And it was a fairly good track. And I was like, holy cow, you got to be kidding me. Because that day we were just out there to just survey the area, kind of like a reconnaissance mission. So I didn't have any casting material with me or anything. This time I did. Yesterday I did. I had casting material just in case, but I didn't find any more tracks. But from what I see in that area, if you want me to give my humble opinion, I have no doubt that people may have seen things in there or heard things related to Sasquatch, because that area is perfect habitat for them. I mean, perfect. Yeah. I mean, there's everything a Squatch could want in there. So,
So we got a number of comments and questions I want to grab too, since chat rooms are popping as usual, and we want to thank everybody for contributing to the show here. Mick says the color of eyeshine varies dependent on the light sources in the area. Very true. It also can be the angle of reflection and refraction, and any atmospheric conditions. Oh, there's Morris.
Yeah, he's been hanging around my feet, and I rolled over on his tail a while ago.
Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Hey, Morris. Okay, that's it. So, go on. You got your 2 minutes of fame there. Go.
Mary Roller says, I think there's quite a few around Chautauqua Lake and Lake Erie. Yep, I've been out there and investigated a bunch of those too, with Peter Weimer of the now defunct Chautauqua Lake Bigfoot Expo. Mick says he has his doubts about the Sasquatch having a tapetum lucidum. I don't know. The fella I saw, definitely, it just wasn't like normal, non reflective eyes. These things popped, actually giving off much more light source than what was being shined upon it, I believe. Yep. So I think they do have a tapetum, but we can always agree to disagree, and doesn't mean much, or have some doubts, and having doubts is a good thing.
Yeah.
Tack asks, have you seen an uptick in sightings since the windmills have gone in?
No, I really can't say that I have, actually.
Okay, that's pretty. Lester Taylor asks, what % of your investigations are daytime to nighttime?
Well, currently, most of my investigations right now are during the day. And that's only just because of my work schedule and et cetera allows me to. But I try to get out at night as much as possible. And I'm going to be doing a lot more, because I do believe that even though it's possible to have an encounter or see them during the day, I do believe, just by everything that I've gathered throughout the years, I do believe they are most active at night. So yeah.
So Mary's in chat going, Weimer pronounced Weimer. You pronounced that wrong. Well, in actuality, Weimer is a German name, and the just for folks who know anything about German, is that usually the pronunciation of the long vowel on, or the long vowel on something like that, is usually the second vowel. That's why I pronounce it Weimer. Had it been Weimer in German, it would have been Weimer, and that would have been pronounced Weimer. That's why, one of the words, the or the, is D-I-E, but they don't pronounce that die, they pronounce that D. So,
Yeah.
just
And
as
if
an
it's a
example.
German pronunciation, wouldn't the W be pronounced as a V?
That is very true.
Weimar.
That's Peter Weimer. Peter Weimer.
Vima.
Weimer.
We're having some sauerkraut and Vimas.
But yeah, the origin of that name is German, and that's how the traditional pronunciation would be. Actually, if it was in Germany, it would be Weimer. That's why I call them Weimer. But if he wants to call himself Weimer, why not? Just like there's a town in Rensselaer County, New York, northern Rensselaer County, New York, called Spiegeltown. But if you take that and put it in its German pronunciation, it should be called Spiegeltown. But so
Yes. We have a town here in Kentucky. It's called UNO. 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 It's like the
UNO.
game. Yeah. UNO.
but they pronounce it Uno, not Uno.
UNO. That's it. UNO. UNO. Not
And they're
Uno.
saying, and what's their motto? You know shit.
Well, it's an interesting story. Give me 15 seconds and I'll tell it. This place used to be called Clear Point, Kentucky, and for some reason they got notoriously known because there was a bootlegger there who had a still, and he sold alcoholic product, and so everybody started calling it, instead of Clear Point, they started calling it Clear Pint, Kentucky. And then after a while, they changed the name because everybody trying to keep it secret. They said, "Where are you going?" I'm going to, because they were going to buy him a pint. Okay, story.
Mick, das ist wichtig. Sehr gut.
Beamer, yeah.
Sehr gut.
Yeah, I could see a Abbott and Costello moment going on there between two people with that. It'd be like, "So where are you from?" And they go, "You know." And you go, "No, I don't. That's why I'm asking you."
Yep.
Where are you from? You know.
You
No,
know.
I don't.
Don't know.
That's why I'm
Yeah, you know.
asking you.
Bob Lemmy says there's a town in Kentucky called Rabbit Hash.
Oh, dude. I mean, if you can, I've done it. There, if you Google funny Kentucky places and names.
Do not go to a diner in any town called Rabbit Hash.
I mean, it's like at some point, did people in Kentucky just give up on names and just be like, "Oh, man, with this?"
We have to go to Florida.
We're gonna
I'm sorry,
call it-
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They have Intercourse, Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
They have Bird in Hand, Pennsylvania, and they have Blue Ball, Pennsylvania.
I'm not going there.
Yeah.
So,
But,
and the funny
you
thing
know.
is they have these T-shirts down there. Yeah, Virginia may be for lovers, but Pennsylvania has intercourse.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Well, that's
Oh,
awful.
actually, a T-shirt that says that.
Yeah.
Well, most of our Kentucky, the odd place names came from like the 1700s, because Kentucky was made into a state around 1791. And as the people came in, they started saying, "Oh, okay." They get to, there's places local here that's called Goosehorn, you name it. Seymour. Okay. Well, that's actually not too bad. There's a Seymour, Indiana, too.
Uh-oh. Time to get in there and do not click on this person's
Somebody
We got a
trying to
spammer.
hijack
Our first
hijack
spammer in the
the
chat. Oh, wow.
All right.
They haven't caught on to mine yet, but I'm waiting now that I just saw this happen on somebody else's show the other night. I think it was Pat Turner's for Squatch Talk. Had somebody trying to hijack the chat too with that stuff. Yeah.
That won't last long here. But hey, when we were doing the shows on the other format, talk, what was it, talk radio or something, blog talk radio, yeah. We would get the occasional call-in guy that was, jokester or whatever, prankster,
Right.
and it was kind of funny. I kind of miss that from every now and then. But
Tack got on him pretty fast too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, Tack's the man. Oh,
Wow.
prairie fire.
Well, they won't be. They won't be going long because they got reported too. So.
I see that prairie fire, but we're probably not going to put that up on the screen. But I feel for you. I can sympathize with you.
So, what are some of the Joe? What are some of the research? Techniques. Obviously the harmonica. That's pretty interesting and pretty out of the box type of thing. I think that's
Well, the funny thing is, I wasn't even thinking that way when I did it. I had no idea. It wasn't until after something happened and that it did bring something around that I went, hey, that's not a bad idea to kind of keep doing that. But techniques, I'll tell you, my favorite technique, although I do like actually taking my night scope monocle, whatever you want to call it. It's a night scope.
Yeah.
I do like taking that out and wandering away from my campaways and standing in the woods and just scanning kind of thing. But really, I guess my basic technique has always stayed the same, and that is just try to draw their curiosity by acting like I'm not looking for them. you know? And just kind of, trying sometimes to think of things that would catch their attention,
Right.
I wish I could claim that playing the harmonica was a conscious thing that I thought of doing, but it wasn't. It just happened to work apparently. But yeah, so and I try to have my camera and film and and just as a way of showing them that, hey, this is nothing, whatever I've got in my hand here, this is nothing, because I'll train it on myself, and just as a way of like, hey, this is not something to be afraid of. And the reason I got that idea was because somebody said, well, maybe you should try something like that, like filming, because if you go by the assumption that sometimes they might, if they're around, they might be watching you, right? So let them see that whatever that thing is, it doesn't hurt anything. So I basically that's what I try to do, is just act myself, and above all, not act like I'm looking for them.
Bob Lemmy said wear a Hawaiian shirt. We also want to throw out a hello to Prairie Fire. Welcome, Prairie Fire. Good to see you again. Mary Roller says, music, little kids, 2 juveniles, love my dogs. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nick says, actually, a harmonica or any other instrument isn't a bad idea. It's bound to catch at least the attention of any Sasquatch in earshot.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Henry Franzoni used to play the drums out there. I don't know. That's all. Percussion's kind of a tough thing.
Yeah.
I think I would. The incantations of, some. You want to get a good laugh. We haven't had a laugh in a little bit, but it was just traversing some stuff. But there was a picture of the team that you had gone out with. The crew right there, Joe. There's the crew that we went out with.
Yeah.
And what a great group they are. Well, we ended up we were taking this picture, and there's Tack in there, and we were taking this picture, and we decided, hey, let's act like there's something behind us, like a Bigfoot in the woods. So we took the picture.
Next one is hilarious.
And I swear to God, I think, the dog taking a crap was not meant to be in the picture. So, while our backs were turned, I'll come in there for a quick. So, just figured I'd throw that out there.
While your backs were turned, the dog photo bombed you. I love it.
Yeah, he photobombed us. He did more than that. He bombed us, all right. She bombed us, I should say.
Oh, that's priceless. I love that.
Now, Sherry will deny that the dog is actually doing its physical thing. It was just running by, but the picture looks good.
Yeah.
Picture says 1,000 words.
It does.
Oh man.
Sorry, had to do it. Had to put that in there just for laughs. Lester Tellers, did you smell that, Bigfoot? B.
You killing me, Lester. Oh Lord. That was good.
Of all times.
Yeah.
Joe,
No, she figured all her backs returned. Okay.
nobody's looking, right? Okay.
That's it. This looks like a good place for a grumper right here. That was so
But yeah,
good.
you see that's the beautiful thing about squatching is the camaraderie in the community, and if you keep the drama out. And Joe, that most of all my team is handpicked.
Yeah.
Somebody comes to me, start talking. Hey, I get a feel for the person. You want to come out along, and then next thing you know, they're part of a group.
Right.
And it's really, and this group has been together since at least 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
In 2013 we started building the team, and then 2014, 2015, 2016. So. And we're adding very, very slowly to our band, merry band of folks, but nobody's out for publicity. Nobody's out for their own good. We all get out there. We all throw in our own ideas.
Yeah.
And anybody that's been on my team knows that my number one rule is have fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna. It's not fun if you're running something like a military operation necessarily,
Right.
or you're barking out commands. You need to be up there. Prairie Fire asked, does anyone have a clue what a Sasquatch's caloric intake would be on an average daily day? Well, if you think about it, it probably would have to be somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 calories to maintain a body weight of 400 to 500 pounds. So, that's based. I've looked into that before, so that one's right off the top of my head. So yeah, it would need to eat a bunch.
That, definitely.
That's why I believe they're omnivorous, because for the mere fact is that meat will give you the most calories and fat will give you the most calories.
Yeah, and it would depend on their body type and size too.
Yep. Bob says the question is, has Joe seen a porcupine?
Nope.
They
don't exist.
They do.
I know they're here in New York, man, but I have never. That's a genuine question. I've never seen it. I've never seen a porcupine. I know that sounds like weird as hell, but even as a kid running around the forest in New York hunting squirrels, man. There's one.
That's one I took.
But
in the daytime.
I've never actually seen one.
You sure that's not a suit, Steve? Look at that.
Yeah, couldn't that be a groundhog and a porcupine? I mean, look at that face. Looks a lot like a groundhog.
Well, they are quite related.
I think that's a porcupine.
I don't think we have any porcupines in Kentucky currently. I'm sure there were some here at one point, which they may make a comeback. The black bears seem to be making a comeback now. There were a lot of those here earlier, and I guess we killed them out. now they started to come back a little bit when people stopped killing them out.
That's what it is. That's a groundhog in a suit.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a woodchuck, man. It's a woodchuck. He's just
And hello, Christy. Good to see y'all.
Hi, Christy.
And Mike says that if you want to see a where is it? If you want to see a porcupine, he said drive up 15A.
Okay. All right, I'll keep
in
that
New
in
York.
mind.
Very, very true. Porcupine are bone eaters, so we're
Yes,
indeed.
yes. And that's
Yes,
one theory.
indeed.
Is the reason why we have the Gigantopithecus fossils. The porcupines had drug them into the caves, chewing
Yep.
up the bones and stuff, and
Yep.
their teeth were so tough that the porcupines couldn't eat the teeth. So they were left in the caves and found later by the scientists.
Oh, yeah, and that's
fossil
one of the
hunters.
major reasons why you don't often find a lot of bones all over the forest, because porcupines are helping clean them up.
They love the calcium from the bone. Yep. Weird.
Here, a couple of questions. B, Sasquatchers. People said their BF Claire photo is only a porcupine. Do you know about this? I don't, but I bet you they do get confused sometimes for a Sasquatch. You know,
Yeah.
if they come close to a camera, you just see these, you know, these long strand, the quills, and they can look like hair too. Interesting.
I've seen a video of one up in a tree, Steve, too, and they thought, you know, maybe that was a small Sasquatch, but it turned out, I think it was.
I'm not particularly sure which video talking about.
Yeah.
Do you think Sasquatch can run down a deer, or they're present disorienting them? I'm pretty sure they probably can run down a deer if they're smart.
Yeah. Well, I think they can. Not that I've ever seen one running very fast. I haven't, because the one I did actually see up close wasn't moving. Thank God.
Hello, Loretta. Welcome. Welcome to the show.
But I think they can chase one down. I can just go off of one experience that a guy told me that he experienced. It was a bow hunter that had shot a buck and dropped it in his clearing, and he said a Squatch came crashing out of the tree line to his left, came crashing out and moved faster than anything he'd ever seen move in his life, grabbed that buck by the antlers without breaking stride and dragged it into the opposite side of the trees and was gone. So, and I believe what this guy said. Now, I didn't get to see it right after the incident, but I did go out to check out the area. I did manage to see the area he was talking about, where he was hunting, and that happened, that little clearing. So I know all that part of what he was saying is true. That spot actually existed. So I have no doubt that what he said was true. And so if that's any indication, yeah, they can probably move fast enough to run them down.
So there's a lot of comments popping in the chat room right now. Sherry saying I've heard them stealing from hunters. Absolutely. I tracked one that had come from behind and grabbed one, got into a turning fight, and they're back again. So
I've never seen one eating a deer or dragging a deer or anything, but it is kind of odd that the places where you find Sasquatch, Bigfoot, is often places where there's a large population of deer. So they seem to correlate that they're found together anyway.
Yeah. And Tactical had asked a question about what's the best evidence I have come across personally. Well, I mean, that's subjective, actually, Tactical, because I would say the best evidence I've come across personally is actually seeing one from about 15 yards away. Now, of course, that's only for me because I don't have pictures of that, so it's just a story for most part, for most people. But I guess I'd have to say footprints I was able to cast, which, again, hasn't been a whole lot, but that's probably the most, best evidence I've ever come across is footprints. Right. I mean, a lot of other evidence, I admit, man, and you've heard, people that have watched my shows have heard me say it. A lot of the other stuff that's considered Sasquatch evidence, maybe it is, but I can't I can't chalk it up as being that automatically. You know.
Wow, so many new names here we got. I just want to throw a shout out to Patrick Vaughn. Welcome.
Patrick.
And we have also Life as a Flyaway is in here. Welcome.
Life is a flyaway.
And Life also, there's some easier meals in the deer to choose from as well.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's
Sure.
smaller critters, rabbits, raccoons.
Yeah. And there's lots of leafy vegetation stuff. You know, that's.
Well, think about it too. You know, a porcupine, you know, comes equipped with its own, you know, quills for putting on, you know, like a kebab. No,
Yeah, right. That's right.
Porcupine kebabs.
But yeah, there are a lot of easier meals too.
Go. Quit. Morris is attacking me.
I heard Morris. Morris wants to be a ham today, apparently.
Yeah.
So one of the questions is that Mike asked, and I saw it earlier before another knucklehead came in, is what is the most interesting piece of evidence you've come across during your years of investigation?
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, you were paying attention to
Just
taking care of the
the
problem.
Yeah.
The sighting. Can you talk to us about your sighting, Joe? The best one you've had, just a little bit.
Well, it's the best one I've had, in that it's the only one that I've had really that I can say truly. Yeah, sure, I can. You know, I don't mind talking about it. I had a hard time coming to grips with it for a long time, to tell you the truth. But yeah, I was just. It was a day that I had decided to go out to this area. That I've been going now for forever. And it's the one where I was playing harmonica badly and saw the eye shine. And I was going back out. I left my hiking stick that I usually carried with me. I'd left it out there like the week before when I was traveling through the area. And I happened to cast a footprint out there and left the stick there. And then so I decided, well, I got to go back out there and get that because I'm not leaving it out there. I bought that thing,
right?
And it's got some stuff on the side of it, the places it's been with me and stuff. So it's, you know, sentimental value. Wasn't going to leave it out there. And I was just going out there that day to go retrieve that stick. And as I drove down the road and went around a little turnaround and parked near a spot that I like to camp, and I got out of my Jeep and I walked towards the trail and walking towards where I entered the woods to go towards to get the stick. And as I'm walking down the trail, I'm not thinking about anything in particular except for looking for this tree that I know when I see this tree, this is the area that I have to turn to go in the direction of where the hiking stick is.
Right.
It was just this weird tree that was forked at about 7 foot off the ground with a bunch of weird pine branches in it in a weird configuration that I still can't figure out how they got there. But I'm sure there's got to be an explanation. And I'm looking for that. And as I'm getting close to that tree, I'm glancing at tree and looked at the branches to see if there was any change in them. There wasn't. And I took a step and I glanced back in front of me, took a step, and I know I looked right at it without seeing it. There was a deer that was laying in this grass, this tall grass right in front of me. Did not see the deer laying there. I took a step forward, and that's when the deer decided I was too close, which was about 15 feet away, and exploded out of that grass and took off to the left. Scared the living crap out of me. Yep. Because I didn't see it, and it was right there.
Right.
And it startled me, and I went, holy. And just at that second, it all happened all in a split second. That deer did that. I reacted, and I heard a scream and a big whack and a scream. And I looked over to my right, and there it was, standing there about 15 yards away from me. I would say about 40 feet. And it was just huge, massive, hair-covered hominid. That's what it was, standing there looking at me. And I automatically went, whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to fuck up your day, big guy. And started to take 3 steps backwards, and he didn't move. And I kind of turned just slightly to head back out towards my Jeep,
Right.
keeping him in my peripheral to see if he was going to move.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And I kind of slowly sidled my way up that way. And then eventually I finally turned once he actually got out of my peripheral and I could no longer see him, turned totally away and started a fat man jog back out to my Jeep. And I got out to my Jeep and opened the door and sat down out of breath. And I was just like, holy fuck, what just happened? Did that just really happen to me?
Right.
Did I really see what I just saw? And I was looking back at the tree line, fully expecting to see him at least standing in the trees, staring at me.
Yeah.
But I never heard him move. I never heard him follow me. And I didn't see him standing there. And, you know, it took me a little while to calm down for my heartbeat to normalize a little bit to where I could actually drive. And even after I think I had felt like I calmed myself down, as I put the key in the ignition, I'm doing one of these numbers, you know, shaking a little bit. And then I just I pulled away, man, and, you know, and would glance out the side window every now and then just to see if I could see all the way out, man. And the whole way home, just thinking, oh my God, what the fuck? I don't know. What the hell? Did I see that or what? I mean, it was incredible, man. This thing was huge, man. And just covered in dark hair. I say it's black. It looked black, but the day was overcast.
Yeah.
Wasn't raining, but it was really cloudy and overcast. He could have been really dark brown, if you want to, you know, but it looked black to me. Face was not as dark as his hair. I would say I describe it as soot, you know, like a sooty color. Deep set eyes, man. His hair hung a little bit he had hair kind of hanging a little bit in his face down to his shoulders, which looked like they were 10 feet wide. I'm sure they weren't that wide, but I mean, he was massive. And he just had this look on his face, man. I could see it was just a frown. You know, I mean, he wasn't pleased with me, you know. And and for the longest time, I just could not come to grips with the fact that, you know, God damn it, I just saw a Sasquatch after 43 years, man.
Right. And,
you know, somewhere along in there was a, God damn it, I didn't get a fucking picture of it. And my phone was in my back pocket. I will readily tell anybody, I admit that. My phone was right in my back pocket. I remember as I got out of the Jeep, I have one of those phone holder things, and it was in that, and I reached into the Jeep, and I grabbed that after I got out of the Jeep and slipped it in my back pocket. And it was in my back pocket the whole time. And you know, I'd never even never even crossed my mind to reach for it.
Understandable. And you see, that's why I have a lot of arguments with people who get some of the videos that they have especially when they have little children and the Bigfoot's only like 30 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like that psychologically doesn't make any sense.
No.
But anyway, let me ask you this. Let me ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So when you went home, you didn't tell your wife right away because you know, that's how you felt that, you know, you didn't have doubts about what you had seen, but you had thoughts of what people would think about you, I think.
Well, I don't know. I think to a certain degree, Steve, I may have had doubts, even though I knew what I just saw. I think there was a small bit of me in there going, holy shit, man, was I fucking hallucinating? You know, I mean, because even though, you know, I've been doing, like I said, since 1978, and I firmly believe there had been something out there, it's still something that most people don't believe in, that think it's fake. It's not supposed to be real. Even though I've been chasing it and I've been finding little bits here and there, footprints, etc., that tell me that there's something out there. I think for a little bit, I was like, man, was I hallucinating? Did I imagine that? Or nobody's going to believe me anyway. And so, no, I didn't tell my wife right away. I think it took me at least a month, maybe 2, before I even told her.
Yeah.
You know, and it took even longer for me to tell anybody else.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, did you find that it was kind of relieving to get it off your shoulders, though, once you started talking about it?
Absolutely. And when I did a show with Leon Thompson.
Yes,
and,
Bigfoot Okanagan.
Yes.
And by the way, happy birthday to Leon. Today's his birthday.
Oh, absolutely.
Leon.
Happy birthday to Leon.
Happy birthday.
And Thomas Steenberg. And I talked to those 2 guys. They interviewed me on my show about it. And absolutely, after I talked to them, that was the one point where I think I finally had the most relief out of telling it to anybody. You know, but finally getting it off my chest to people that I can't say are just automatically going to believe me, because they don't. But because I know what happened, I knew that, well, these guys, if my story is true, they're going to believe me. And my story's true. So I had no problem with them talking to me about it and asking me certain questions and probing questions about it, because that's what I needed to convince me myself that I really did see what I saw, even though I knew what I saw, if that makes any sense.
And you had said something to me on your podcast that made a lot of sense, because you were talking about that too. And that is, I have nothing to fear because the truth is on my side.
Yeah.
Ask away. I've got nothing, nothing to hide. I got the truth. I don't have to worry about people. That's why you're very willing to answer questions about it. And I applaud that.
Absolutely.
Another question. Do you go out at night during hunting season, since hunters see them a lot?
I don't go out during hunting season a lot, period, because of hunters. But that's usually during the day, because you're not allowed to hunt after that, at night anyway. But no, I wouldn't say a lot. And it depends. In the wintertime, it depends on how much snow is on the ground. I got to tell you the truth, because I'm old, man. I'm getting old.
Yeah, that winter stuff.
I don't react to the cold and the snow as well as I used to.
During deer season, I think it's a good idea to stay out of the woods, unless you've got some place that you can go where there's no deer hunting allowed or something.
Right.
And then maybe you can get away with it. But during deer season, try to stay out of the woods.
Yeah, I do.
I think
at least during the day. The nighttime, yeah.
And really, it's for me. It's not because of the fear of being shot by a hunter. It's to just stay the fuck out of their way.
Yeah, you're walking around, tromping around, scaring up their deer. That's
right.
Nobody's going to be happy about that.
It's like taking a jet ski near a fishery.
Right.
What the hell? You're scaring all the fish.
Right.
So yeah, because unlike our hairy friends that we look for, the hairy things they look for tend to skedaddle when there's a lot of people around making noise.
Yeah. I think Joe made the important point there too, but it's not that we think the hunters are going to shoot us. Hunters, they know what they're going to be. They know what they're aiming at. They know what to shoot and what not to shoot. It's just don't want to mess up their game.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And just so you know, Aaron is in the house.
Aaron.
And
Welcome.
It was a pleasure meeting Aaron and his family at the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival. So that was one of the shots that was on the film roll there. But it was a pleasure meeting them, and I'm so glad to actually, shake hands and talk and spend a little bit of time. It was very busy. So I just want to do a quick programming note too. Next week, we're going to have on Craig Woolheater. organizer of Texas Bigfoot Conference. For those who did not know, people were asking. I know Aaron was asking about, is the Craig Wolfleader interview gonna happen? I'm like, yes, it is. Craig was in an accident a couple of days ago. So motor vehicle accident, and yesterday morning he decided he was going to go to the hospital. He was pretty sore. Luckily, he's just bruised and bumped, and feeling the effects of it. But I am glad to hear he's okay, and he'll be joining us next week. Just a few days shy of the Texas Bigfoot Conference, which I'm going to be at. So, and guess what? I come in pretty early on Sunday. So on the 17th, we are going to have a show, and I'm, going to start my day in Texas, fly out of Shreveport, Louisiana, land in Albany, and get a show ready to go. So we'll be here. Busy day for that day.
Yeah. I hope he heals up nice and yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing that one. I'm going to watch that show definitely because.
Yeah,
I recognize that name. I don't know him personally, but
Craig has been around for many years doing this.
Yeah,
and a lot of history with the TRBC when they were in existence.
Writes
for
Cryptomundo. Yeah,
he runs Cryptomundo now.
Yeah.
So,
he's running it now. Oh.
Yeah, he has been. Yep, since Lauren Coleman left Cryptomundo, Lauren went to CryptoZoo News.
Yeah.
So. But it was so that should be quite a fun time as well. But I just wanted to give everybody that quick update, and again, we want to wish Craig a speedy recovery for that. We'll see y'all.
Absolutely.
We'll see him next week.
Get well soon, bud.
Yeah. So Joe, tell me what you in passion for the future in your research.
Hopefully to. To be specific, I actually hope to encounter that individual again. Since I suspect, although like I said, I don't know it for sure. It could have been totally a different one, but I suspect it was him that watched me play harmonica. I can't be sure of that, but I just suspect it. Maybe it's wishful thinking that it was him, and maybe that's why that day he recognized me and went, "Oh, this is a bad harmonica player. He just fucked up my hunt, but I think I'll let him live." But I'd like to see him again someday, pretty much. And I don't know, just see what I can learn about him. I don't even know how to go about it, even after all these years. I mean, if I see him again, what am I going to be like? Hey, guy, it's me again. Are you feeling a little friendlier? I don't know, but I want to find out as much as possible, investigate this until they stick me in the ground, and just try to find out what he is. Because I have my suspicions and I have my hypotheses, but if I went by what my belief is about Bigfoot, then I'd know all I need to know about him.
Yeah. Right.
But I can't go by just my belief. It warrants further investigation, to
Bob Lemley says it's not the kill, it's the thrill of the chase.
That's right. Yeah.
It's true. So true.
Yeah.
So true. But, I think that once, if a discovery is made and I'm alive, it's just going to even, to me, I'm still going to be out there doing it. It's like, I want to have these encounters. And if there's one thing I can espouse to you is keep playing that harmonica.
Yeah.
Because they'll get like myself. I had an area that was very, very active for a while. And I would always do the same call when I came in there. Just when I got there, I'd get there, get in there, do my call. Just to say, hey, hello, I'm here. Were you playing a harmonica? They're going to say, hey, there's that noise again. There's that guy. And we know he's not a threat.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So
and that's really what I want to convey, really, is that I'm not a threat, and that it's okay for them to approach me I'm not going to do anything, to harm them. And I do believe they're intelligent enough to understand that.
Yep.
I don't believe that. I think their ways of thinking are much higher than just animal thinking. And I do believe that they have they're what's the word I'm looking for? Cognizant. They are sentient. I think their abstract thinking is probably a bit different than ours. But I do believe they're intelligent enough to know intentions. So yeah, and as far as the other thing goes with the research, I also, with my research, I would sure love to be able to start doing things to try to collect DNA, because that's one thing I haven't done a whole lot of, is like DNA traps, as they call them. And I'd like to try doing a little bit of that, and in a kind of a non-invasive, non-harmful way, to see if I can collect any kind of DNA.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, that's my goal. I always carry the DNA kit with me now, so
those are handy.
Yeah, they help a lot. Chris, any questions from you?
I just want to get Joe's impression. If by looking at one fairly close, Joe, did you get the impression that its features would be more ape-like or more human-like?
He didn't look like it. He didn't look like an ape. It did not look like, and like I said, for the longest time, I went with the whole Gigantopithecus hypothesis because it seemed feasible to me. But after what I just saw, well, now I have my doubts. I think it's, all in all, as Steve says, we're all primates. So it is definitely a primate. It's a hominid.
Yeah.
I do believe it's closer to human than it is to ape myself. Now, that's just my personal beliefs by what I saw. That's all. It may turn out that it just looks the way it looks, but it's more akin to a gorilla,
Yeah.
But, that remains to be seen. I just don't get that feeling because there was an intelligence in that thing's eyes that, I just, not to say that there's not an intelligence in a gorilla's eyes. There are. You can look in them in the eyes and can tell that they're intelligent, but they're intelligent on a level that, apes are intelligent on. You know what I'm saying? This just didn't seem like that. And I know that sounds all kind of like out there and woo, like doesn't really have any basis in science, but that's just my feeling,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just asked you for an opinion, Joe.
Yeah.
Some people you asked and say, well, to me, it felt like more ape-like. And some people say, to me, that it was more human-like, so, and it could be the difference between the way two different creatures look too. As humans, no two of us look the same unless we're identical twins.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't know what it is tonight,
but
What the?
A lot of playing in the chat room from the. Well, I had another question too, but I'm sorry, Joe. It's probably going to put you way too far back because this is regarding the trackway you found when you were a kid, when you were squirrel hunting, and I remember you saying that you followed it until it went away or you couldn't follow it anymore.
Yeah, once it hit the tree line and into the trees, I didn't see any more tracks.
That's interesting. That's interesting to me. I've experienced that. I followed a trackway. I'm estimating around 1.5 miles in the woods, and they were going from tree to tree. And then all at once, I got to a certain point, and then like the tracks disappeared. Where did they go?
Yeah.
Okay, there's trees all around. And at the time, it never occurred to me, could they have climbed the tree and plopped down over there somewhere, out of the way?
Right.
If I could find another trackway like that again, I think I would have a better chance of being able to continue following it.
Yeah.
But that kind of struck me as, you find a trackway and then it ends like and you're in a tree line.
Yeah.
Seem like to me maybe they can throw you off a little bit by
it could be. I mean, it could be a lot of factors in that. I mean, that play into that. Number one, I was 14, and although I was used to hunting and being out in the woods and hunting animals and tracking deer, following deer trackways, etc. I was 14. I was young, wasn't that experienced. That I was not what you would call an expert tracker by any means.
Yeah.
So that played into it. I think also maybe because the strata or the terrain changed as to where it was stepping, that might have played some factor in it, that it just wasn't leaving footprints. And I'm sure there was probably some other sign in there that it left behind as to what direction it went in.
Yeah.
Be it, this blade of grass over here is bent the wrong way, or it brushed against this bush over here and broke a branch. I wasn't experienced enough to see that kind of thing,
Yeah.
It's
hard to track in the woods anyway, especially if you're in a area that's fairly level, because the leaf litter on the ground covers everything up. You're like, oh man, where did they go? But I noticed on the hillsides though, it's easier to track because the leaf litter tends to blow downhill, and then it'll kind of clear out a little space on the ground.
Yeah.
But man, when they decide they want to disappear, if there's trees, they'll disappear when there's trees around.
Yeah.
So it made me kind of wonder, could they be hopping up, going over a few feet and dropping down somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay. Question from Lester. What is the longest trackway any of you have seen? You want to
go? Probably for myself about a mile, I think.
Wow, that's pretty.
That's long, yeah. And now these were, not every one of these that I saw was something that was like crystal clear, castable type things, but it was a definite trackway with and I followed it for I'd say a mile. It might have been less. I mean, I'm not real good with that kind of distance, but it was a long way, and so I would say it was pretty close. It could have been 3/4 of a mile, but it was fairly long.
Right.
And again, after a while, I couldn't follow it anymore. And there was a lot of different debris on the ground. There was down trees, which I have no doubts that they can like jump onto a fallen log and start walking on those instead, and not leaving tracks, etc., that kind of thing.
Yeah, mine was about 100 yards, and that was off the Fort Ann cast. As far as a trackway, and you could see where the digs it took going up the hill, the leaves being pushed aside as it's going up the hill. And it came from another area where there was a little bit of a creek, and there was actually like some toe impressions, and Bill Brand had tried to cast those. Another time, probably probably about 75 yards, but it wasn't necessarily a trackway. Where it had moved through the woods, and you could see where it had stomped down some brush, and at the 5'9" to 6 foot level, you could see where all the branches were broken on both sides of that thing where it walked. So something large had just walked through there. So yeah, that's mine. How about you, Chris? Anything?
Yeah, about like Joe's, maybe maybe around 1.5 miles or so. But and I lost it. So, but I did learn an important lesson that day. That is, when you're tracking down near the river, if you want to start looking for tracks, you find a place that has an island in the center of the river, and then check the bank on either side from that island, and that's where you might be able to pick up a trackway. But other than following it, and I'm like all excited. Oh God, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna track them right to it.
Yeah, right.
And then around about 1.5 miles or so, it's just poof.
Yep.
Where did they go? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that time, I lost all. I don't know what I wasn't thinking about it until later on after the fact. Could they have went up a tree and then lost me that way? Should I have went around further looking for another area where they would have dropped? But,
So-
too late now.
So Bob Lemley says that I think if you're habitually out in the woods and you're wearing the same clothes, that they would learn to trust you. And
Yeah.
the same thing with audibles. If you make the
Yeah.
same sound, they can't automatically see when you come into the woods. But if
Yeah.
you make that sound, they recognize that sound as
Mhm.
just like the ones in Honolulu, Oklahoma, recognize the gunshots, meaning it's the dinner bell. It was a deer drop when they heard a gunshot.
Yeah.
So
I did that. Bob. I wore the same clothes, Bob, as the first time I went out and I had a sighting. From then on, I wore the same exact. Well, maybe not the same exact clothes, but I wore a black jacket, a black T-shirt, and black jeans. So I was like the man in black.
Yeah.
And every time I went over there.
But I would also stress that probably the most important is the audible stuff. I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah, you would do like a tree knock or something in your area before you went in, wouldn't you, Steve? Oh man,
what is going on tonight?
I know. There's just been a rash of this stuff lately for apparently on different shows. I don't get it, man. I don't know where it's coming from, but I don't know why all of a sudden.
But I think that laughing figure. Chris was Johnny Cash. No, laughing. We weren't the same, but I did wear the day I was over there and I had a sighting. I was wearing all black that day, so from then on I wore all black when I went in, and I had a few more sightings after that, so it seemed I don't know if that helped, but
I think every little thing like that might help.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he would automatically, recognize me by my face. But I mean, if I do dress very similar, I might not wear the exact same thing I had on that day. But I've always dressed very similar. Usually it's cargo pants, and a t-shirt, and I think that, they get used to it. And I think they do recognize
Bob Lemley said Sam Elliott killed Hitler and then killed Bigfoot. LOL.
Yeah, well, if you watch the movie.
Hey, is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence that, I'm not saying this is necessarily true, but is it just a coincidence that just a few days ago I dealt with a Linda Newton Perry email?
Now, see, you got to fill me in on this. I'm not sure who that is, Steve.
That is the Bigfoot Ballyhoo owner. Now, I wouldn't think she would be that necessarily graphic, but it's just maybe it's just
I think we
coincidence.
talked a little bit about this. Okay,
but yeah. This week I got an email from Linda Newton Perry requesting I take down her Hall of Shame page because it's all lies.
more than likely she's looking for more hits for her website, Steve. That's probably all.
I tend to agree with that. I tend to agree. We'll gladly give her some hits for her website because it's not really monetized. So,
I think last time I was on there, which is some years ago, she had like children's books or something for sale. I think.
So OT says, I think chat allows for registered. Yes, you have to be registered, but you see, here's the thing. For every time they've done that multiple times, I've reported each one. So they're going to get their accounts yanked pretty fast. So I'm not really worried about it. And then I hide them from the channel so they can't post anymore anyway. And then the timeouts are just something I'm doing here through StreamYard. But the truth is that they cannot post. Once they post that one, I just go down to each one, So in case they're using different bots, I've been banning each single bot. So
I think some of the things maybe that we do by accident, like, Joe's sitting around, practicing on his harmonica,
Or me just wandering out to the car to get batteries.
Yeah, right.
Just
some little subtle things that happen that interest them, and then next thing you know, wow, there's a sighting. There's one looking at us.
Yeah,
and a lot of time I don't think it was planned. It just happened.
Yeah.
I
kind of like what Steve puts forth. Really, in the book, what would Sasquatch do? And what he says, it's like And I find it hard to do, but I mean, you kind of got to try to get into the head of a Bigfoot. How is a Bigfoot going to think? Now, that's kind of hard to do because I'm not exactly sure how they would think. But, you know, you got to think, well, they're a primate. They're a hominid. I'm a primate. I'm a hominid. What would make me curious?
Exactly.
You know, if I was a Sasquatch, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, there is that. You just got to kind of work your way into that if you can, you know, to think of, well, what can I do that would raise their curiosity that doesn't seem threatening, you know?
Anyway, Mick says, Joe, Lynn Newton Perry's a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down.
Yeah, apparently not.
Yeah. I'll show you. If I can, you know what? If I can show you the video after the show, Joe, I will.
Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, it is that time, folks.
Ah.
So yeah, it always flies by these couple of hours. We actually we got on about 4.5 minutes late. So, so that's why I've kind of let it stretch past 11 a little bit. Because we're at 11 o'clock right now. In case anybody hasn't caught it and you're a fan of The Sopranos, The Many Saints of Newark is now showing on HBO Max. And man, I saw it last night. Damn good movie. It was entertaining. Very entertaining.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Wasn't it? I mean, people say, well, it wasn't, you know, it was kind of slow. Well, in parts it was, but then so was The Sopranos.
Yeah.
So, but boy, that was kind of fun. The acting was top notch. I think some of the impressions were top there. The characterizations of the younger ones you'd seen in The Sopranos, like Paulie and Silvio and Artie Bucco and what's the other one? Well, anyway, but Michael Gandolfini, James Gandolfini's son, played a teenage Tony Soprano, and he was phenomenal.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
And he did a good job.
You could see his face. You could see James Gandolfini's face in Michael Gandolfini. It was how should I say it? It was haunting, but satisfying at the same time.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it was good. Worth a watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's going to have all your elements that you've had in there's many seasons of The Sopranos. I believe there was 8, and all those little elements in a 2-hour movie. Wow. Anyway, Joe, I want to thank you for coming on, Joe.
Well, thanks for having me on, man.
Do your pitch your podcast, please.
Well, actually, I'm what one of my friends calls the man of many podcasts, apparently, because I actually have 3 of them. I do New York Sasquatch Live with Joe and Molly on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. I do Sasquatch Speaks, which is the show Steve was on. I do that Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then every now and then on a random Sunday, I'll do one that I'm calling The Other Bigfoot Show. That one is not a scheduled show. That's just kind of a random thing, you know, that may happen every now and then when I go, hey, I got something to talk about that, you know. So yeah, yep.
And we can find all of those on YouTube.
You can find all of them on my YouTube channel, which is Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Group.
There you go.
They're all listed right there on their lists of each show, and they're always listed by the newest first. So that's how they're sorted. Newest is listed first, etc. So and my Facebook page is the same name as my YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to check that out,
so get over there, give this man a subscribe, give him some views, give him some likes, and we'll ask all of you to do the same. Please like, share, and subscribe to these videos. Sharing is caring, and we'll get those videos, these shows out. Bye-bye. Well, bye-bye. There they are again. But anyway, we want to wish everybody a great week. Chris, any final words?
Just once again, I want to thank Joe, for being on. It's a pleasure having you. We appreciate it. Thank our wonderful listeners and our chatters, the chat room. We surely appreciate all of y'all. And if it's the first time you're watching on YouTube, please consider giving us a subscribe, like, comment, share. It helps the search algorithm, helps us get found. We appreciate it.
And of course, we want to wish everybody a healthy, happy, and safe week. I'm still kicking away here. So we want to wish everybody a happy, safe week. Everybody, be safe, keep positive, God bless. And of course, keep on squatching, folks. We'll catch you all next week with Craig Woolheater, Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, here on Squatch-D TV. Catch you all soon.
Hey folks, you've been watching Squatch-D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe, God bless, and keep on squatching.